Hey everybody, it's me, Rodger, back with records. You're wondering, what's with the trains, huh? You're wondering what's going on there, huh? Well, stay tuned to the end and I'll tell you all about it. But in the meantime, I'll give y'all what you want, and that's some records. Now, sadly, I haven't been doing a whole lot of digging. I have some gifts. I'm going to show some CDs because I haven't shown any in a while, and my regular place to get CDs is just freaking nuts these days. Like, they don't, nothing sits, and everything's priced to move, except for like Led Zeppelin and the Beatles and the Stones, and for like people who are trading shit in, they can like overpay for that stuff if they want. But so much stuff is just dirt cheap, right? Okay, like this, for instance. This really awesome little box set, the hip hop box. 2 turntables and a microphone. This is on what? Universal. 4 discs. It's got all the classic freaking hip hop stuff. This really kind of funky packaging here, but it starts off with Rapper's Delight, and you got Curtis Blows the Breaks, and it includes the 12-inch versions of most of this stuff, which is really nice. Body Rock, Planet Rock by African Bambaataa, blah blah blah. It goes on there. Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy. All that stuff. Classic hip-hop. And honestly, I don't mind having it on CD, especially when it was like $10, something like that, sealed. Stupid. Now, and like classical, now this place used to have a pretty decent classical selection, and they had people who kind of knew what they were doing, or they had a computer database that told them what was what. But they've cut that to, it's like a thin fraction of what it used to be. Now it's like comic books and stuff up there. And so they have this little classical section, and everything else goes straight to the bargain bin. 95 cents. And my friend there was telling me, and if it doesn't move in a week, into the trash they go. Into the trash they go. Man, so even though it's a pain, you're like this trying to, and there's no rhyme or reason. I try to go once a week and see what's in there, and I like classical music, and I think CD is great for classical music. One thing, like I've complained about off-center pressings, like my last video, I complained bitterly about off-center pressing. But you don't have that problem with digital. It either plays or it doesn't. And also classical CDs tend to be well recorded, well mastered, take full advantage of the extended dynamic range. And yes, I said it, there is an extended dynamic range with CDs. There is. And they can sound lovely. And so for 95 cents, hell yeah, I'm going to, bring this home. Jaquette de la Guerre Sonatas on this great label. Dung Brinkhouse and Grimm, a German label. This is from 1998. All digital recording. So Elizabeth Claus, Jaquette de la Guerre. I was not familiar with her, but she's one of those rare woman composers. From 1665, 1729, so Baroque era. Big fan of Baroque music on historically accurate instruments, so harpsichords and sackbuts and shit like that. This is lovely, and just lovely. What else we got here? Oh, I remember when this came out, I wanted it. It was like, I don't want to pay $50 for it. I'll pay 95 cents, though. This is my 3rd recording of the Beaver Mystery Sonatas, or otherwise known as the Rosary Sonatas. This is one of my favorite players, John Holloway's wonderful violinist. Has this beautiful limpid tone that is just gorgeous, and he has a unique approach to this kind of Baroque chamber music, particularly this intimate sacred music like this, where instead of it just being harpsichord and violin, he adds organ and also continuo here with lute and chitaron and viola da gamba, and a double harp. And so now other recordings I have is just two players. As this has a much more rich orchestral sound, but yet it's small and intimate. Could have been performed in the King's Chapel, which is what this music was written for. Beautiful stuff, beautiful. And what's noteworthy about the Beaver Mystery Sonatas, not Justin Bieber, Heinrich Ignaz Beaver, composer, is that every one of these pieces, it's about the rosary. It's like you're counting the rosary, and for every piece, there's a different tuning. And as it gets towards the crucifixion, the tunings get more and more brittle sounding and tense, and then as the enunciation comes, it relaxes. It's a very, very relaxed sort of sound. You can really hear it. Fascinating music. I love it. And again, like, perfect for CDs. And so, you know, a bunch of Monteverdi Madrigals. This is 1638, Madrigali Amorosi, so Madrigals of Love. This is also from the 1638 Book of Madrigals. This is Madrigals of War. These are on Virgin Classics, Concert of Musique. Really lovely. Here's more Monteverdi, the motets, the Salve Regina, also on Virgin Classics, 95 cents, you betcha. And finally, some Gregorian chant, some legitimate Gregorian chant from the Gregorian Choir of Lisbon, London. Terrific, really nice. The thought of these things going into the skit just... I guess that's where we are. No one cares about CDs. Yeah, you know what? No one cares about music. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right, so that's CDs. That's, you know, I'm not gonna... Ooh, 6 minutes on CDs. Sorry. Better get going with the vinyls. Cheers, everybody. It's a hot summer day, and I'm having a Little Harpeth Brewing Chicken Scratch. American Pilsner. So it's sort of like if Budweiser actually had some flavor. It's nice, refreshing. Okay, vinyl. Okay, here we go. Now, I had dinner with a friend, colleague. I don't know how to get into it. I'd done him a favor, and so he took us out to dinner and gave me a couple of records. Let's just leave it at that. Now, one of them is this. I'm not aware of this Yusef Lateef record. Hikima, Creativity by Yusef Lateef. Originally came out in Nigeria on the Center for Nigerian Cultural Studies label in 1983, I believe, something like that. So it's Yusef Lateef with these Nigerian musicians doing like Nigerian sort of high life music, but with a jazzy sort of tinge. It's a beautiful record. This has been reissued on Yusef Lateef's own label, Key System. We need to investigate this some more. It's available on Bandcamp, I believe, limited 800 copies, something like that. Yeah, it just came out. Check it out. Thank you, Chris. And now this is really something else. I'm going to take this out. Sorry. This is a work of art. This is gorgeous. Now, you can't really see, this is like a silk screen cover, but it's not white, it's like silver, like this textured silver. It's really, really cool and beautiful matte finish. So what is this? This is Joshua Abrams and the Natural Information Society. The name of the album is Mandatory Reality. Again, from just this year, I think, came out. Wow, is this great. Now, I am familiar with Joshua Abrams as a bass player. He is a bass player. He also plays, well, he doesn't play bass, he plays gwimbree, which I guess is kind of a African stringed instrument, and flute. With a rather large ensemble with Hamid Drake on tabla and tar. I don't recognize a lot of these names, but when I put this on, I was immediately entranced, and I would like to hear the CD because it seems like maybe it's a continuous piece. Hard to tell, spread out over 4 sides here. It reminds me in a really good way of that Dawn of MIDI record that I went cuckoo about several years ago, 2013. They haven't put out anything else since then. I don't know what they could possibly do to top that. Now, it doesn't sound like that, but it has this sort of minimalist groove, but very subtle changing over long periods of time, but totally entrancing. And you know, I'm generally not a big fan of minimalism per se, and I would hesitate to put this in that category because it's really kind of a world jazz sort of thing happening. Anyway, it's terrific. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. The vinyl, it's on Aramite. It's a beautiful pressing, beautiful packaging. Sounds great. I think, you know, you people know know who you are. You know you want it. You know you want it. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, well, it's not like I haven't been digging, but I just haven't been finding anything. Really, it's kind of a problem. So I wound up getting this one day. I was at the store. It's like, all right, I'll buy a new reissue of the Silver Apples Contact record. Now, I was fortunate enough to find their first album when I was in Knoxville a couple years ago. And this reissue on Jackpot came out in 2017. And it's taken from 24-bit 96 kilohertz digital files from original tapes, whatever. It's a nice pressing, colored vinyl, yada yada yada. I always thought I could find an original, but until I do, this will have to be a placeholder, I guess. And it sounds fine. It sounds fine, and it's really interesting music. It's even more forward-looking than their first album. I mean, this almost sounds like post-punk in a way. In 1969, yeah, baby, really, really, really good stuff. All right, so that's it for new records. I did find this, which I was pretty excited about. I know some people can't stand her, but I'm a big fan of Yoko Ono, and when I see her records and they're not really expensive, I buy them. Feeling Space, the Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band, and Something Different from, it's on Apple 19, when is this from? 1973. Really nice shape. Probably never got played. It's Yoko Ono. She was the real deal. When she met John Lennon, she was like, who are you? Beatles? What? Who cares about that pop music trash? I'm like a real artist, Fluxus and stuff. This is a pretty nice find. It's a Canadian pressing of Mingus Plays Piano. Spontaneous compositions and improvisations on Impulse. Originally from what, I think 1965, 66, something like that. I should look it up. One of my favorite records. Had it on CD for forever. And the CD sounds lovely. Piano music, again, really nice on CD because, it's not like there's an extended frequency response. But boy, howdy, having, warble with the pianos, I hate it. I can't stand it. And this sounds fine. It sounds fine. I'm happy to have it. I mean, I just think Mingus records are cool. Anyway. And this is a beautiful record. If you've never heard Mingus play piano or heard this record in particular, he's a really, not technically brilliant pianist, but you can hear his musical thinking through his finger, the way he can play the piano and his orchestration, just the way his musical thought. It's great. All right, this kind of cool find. These Blue Note reissue things, twofers from the 70s, are kind of cool. You don't see them around so much anymore. Kind of wish I'd picked up more when they were around. But here's Cecil Taylor in transition with an anomalous picture. That's from the 70s. This is his first recordings from 1955 and 59, originally on the Transition label. Now this is great stuff if you've never heard it. One disc is with Steve Lacy and Bill Nightingale and Dennis Charles, recorded in Boston. It's really great, 1955. And then sides 3 and 4 is with Ted Kirsten on trumpet, Bill Barron on tenor, Chris White on bass, and Rudy Collins on drums, recorded 1959 in New York. So here is Cecil not quite being Cecil Taylor. They're playing standards and stuff, but he is playing standards in a way that only Cecil Taylor would play them. They're brilliant. I think if you have difficulty with mature Cecil, these records his early work is really a good way to get into what he's doing in those later records, because you can still kind of swings and you can still hear melodies that are recognizable and stuff like that. Yeah, really good. Awesome. Hopeless to find originals of those things. Jeez, forget it. All right. Found this stupid cheap. Anthony Braxton's 6 compositions quartet on Antilles from 1981, I believe. Had this on CD forever, but thought, yeah, why not get this on vinyl? Super nice condition. This is a really nice record. Anthony Davis piano, Mark Elias on bass, Edward Blackwell on drums. I mean, it's, I really like Braxton in a quartet setting. He's kind of abandoned this kind of way of making music, which I kind of regret. But hey, you know, he was never one to stay in one place. Great stuff. Great stuff. I love Braxton. I do. I also love Joanne Becker, even though this is a terrible cover. My God, I had to look twice because at first I was like, oh, that has to be terrible. I'm like, oh, wait, Joanne Becker? Yes, yes, please. With Cecil Taylor and Al Foster? Yes, please. Having Fun on Concord Jazz, 1985. Oh, what a horrible cover. I mean, just really, you think that's going to make someone want to buy this record? But hey, she's a terrific pianist. She's doing like standards here. She's trying to sell records. But she's such a great player that it doesn't matter. It's terrific. It's really terrific. Really unfortunate about the cover. I found a couple Jamal records. This is a chess twofer called Sunset. It includes Live at the Pershing Volumes 1 and 2 and Live at the Black Hawk with an unreleased cut. They cram a lot of music into 2 discs here. And some of the editing sounds a little abrupt, and I'm not sure. I've never heard the original, so I don't know if this is just like kind of a hack job here, or if that's what the original records sound like. I don't know. Well, the music is lovely. You know, piano trio jazz. Yeah, you could say it's like cocktail jazz if you have cotton in your ears. There's a reason why Miles Davis admired Jamal and Model Kind of Blue and a lot of that stuff. That modal stuff on what Jamal was doing, those voicings, the kind of feel that, yeah, great stuff. Couldn't pass this up. Great, what a great cover. That's just a great use of, what do you call that, Bouquet? Naked City theme on Argo. The cover's in such nice shape. I had high hopes. Sadly, this is from like the 50s. You know, you get to that. Records that are that old, you know, and you think about like what kind of apparatus people were playing records on back in the 50s. Big, like steel, freaking cast iron, tone arms. Those like cabinet things with like the speakers built in and stuff. Yeah, so this is, the surface looks good. I cleaned it up, but it's just too, oh well. Oh, well, so it goes. Same thing with this. I had really high hopes for this. It looked really nice. It's got that hype sticker on it. Getson Gilberto. What a classic record, Yeah, it's a little cheesy, but it's delicious cheese. But, I'll have to stick with the CD for now because, that opening track, Girl from Ipanema, is just, it's so quiet and subtle. And there's like this... for the first minute, By the time Stan comes in with the saxophone, it stops, and the rest of the record sounds fine. But vinyl. You know what I really like about vinyl is the hassle and expense. You know that cartoon, right? Okay, last here is Ramsey Lewis, Sun Goddess. Now, I'm thinking I saw the Dr. Rhythm folks show this at some point. Which validated it to me, and it reminded me, I think it was Dr. Rhythm, that this is basically an Earth, Wind & Fire record with Ramsey Lewis. On Columbia from 1974. This is nice. This is really nice. Yeah, I'd like to know some more recommendations for Ramsey Lewis records because he's made a lot of them, and a lot of them look really like they're not going to be good. All right, so that's 20 minutes of records. Cheers, everybody. So yeah, trains. Now, let me preface this by saying that in this little town I live in, I live on top of this hill. At the bottom of the hill, these train tracks run right through town. And up here on the hill, I can hear the whistle off in the distance coming through town. And it runs, they call it north-south, but it's really east-west, from Nashville to Memphis, these freight trains. Now, at one time, there used to be passenger trains that ran out here in like the 1800s, early 1900s. I'm not clear on when it all kind of fell apart. I imagine after World War II, it was certainly done. But yeah, there used to be passenger trains, and there were passenger depots that still are standing by the tracks. The one in Kingston Springs is abandoned. It's not abandoned, but you can't go in there. And it's not the same place. It's been moved. The one in Pegram, though, has been restored, and they have a caboose by it. That's the next town east from here. So anyway, I've lived here for 20-something years now, and so I would see trains. And, I've always had a fondness for trains. One of my earliest memories is when I lived in Texas. And my memory of this is that we lived near some train tracks and like a big trestle. And I remember like seeing this truck driving on this trestle up there. It freaked me out. I'm like, how's he driving on those train tracks? And I can't remember what my dad said. Probably, shut up back there. And I would have nightmares about like I'm 5 or 6, and like I've never driven, but I'm imagining I'm trying to keep my tires on the train tracks, and I'm on this bridge, and oh no, I fall into the bayou. Seriously. All right. Hey, if you don't care about this, turn it off. Hit the dislike, turn it off. I don't care. I'm glad those train videos got dislikes. Yay. Get a rise out of people. Anyway, so, so there's trains that go through here. And so I guess it was probably around the time that the Mueller report came out, where, I don't want to get into it, but what a Republican, could he be any more mealy-mouthed about it? Sure, you can read it, and I read it, yeah, and it's damning. And all I can say is, it's okay if you're Republican. All right, but something broke in me, and I love my studio, and I have all this stuff, and I've been recording music, and I have this stuff with Sam, and I'm working on this album, but something broke. Now that, and I also heard some guy in the music industry was talking about, how the biggest selling jazz album of 2018 barely sold 1,000 copies. He didn't say who it was, but think, like Wynton Marsalis, someone like that, someone big, Chick Corea, someone, big jazz guy, right? Can't even sell 1,000 copies of his freaking album. Now, if that's so, well, okay, the one way I could look at it, that a number larger than 0 care about my freaking CDs or whatever, put out a vinyl, flush a bunch of money and put out a vinyl. Yeah, okay, a number larger than 0, but in a world of 9 billion people, de minimis, So, and then in a world where Donnie Dump gets get away with murder, like you take Mueller's thing and you say, you take it to its logical extreme, right? He's saying, well, he could get up on TV and murder someone, murder a child, in cold blood, right on television, live television. Oh, well, no, we can't indict the president. No, we can't. Bullshit. Bet your bippy Democrat did 1/1000th of the things outlined in that report, there'd be indictments flying. You know it. Especially as a woman, right? All right, I just had to get that off my chest because what a world. What a world. It's broken. It's broken. It's just, So anyway, so here I am. I'm feeling like, what? Why? What? And it occurred to me that I was putting way too much on music. I was putting way too much on these little bits of plastic and cardboard and my hi-fi and VC and my studio and, collecting instruments and making noises with them and Pro Tools and, mixing and, I'm going to make this record that no one cares about. It's too much to ask of it, that it's somehow going to make it okay. It's not going to make it okay. And music's not a hobby for me. Okay, maybe it looks like one, but to me, it's not a hobby. Record collecting, I've said it before. I hate identifying myself as a record collector because that's not who I am. It's something I do, but it's not who I am. And records, it's not about the object so much as what's contained in them. That music, that magical music stuff that no one seems to care about. And I honestly believe that If we lived in a world where people cared about music, we'd live in a better world. But we live in a world where no one cares about music. Now, I know you care. You do. You you vinyl fanatic, But do you really care about music or do you care about vinyl? I'm just going to throw that out there. Is it a passion or is it just a hobby? Okay. And it's like, you know what? I need a hobby. I can't put everything on music to like make it all better. And I can't just say, oh, it's my hobby. It's my hobby. I might as well not do it then. So, now, trains. Why trains? Well, one day I was messing around with my modular back there. And boy, you can kill hours and hours and hours plugging shit in and like messing around. And so I had found this channel that has like conductor's view of these trains, live trains going through Norway and Russia and China. And it's just, it's like you're riding through the mountains of Norway. And, I'm over there and the computer's over here. So I can look up and it's like, oh, I'm just riding in the train. It's very relaxing. I really enjoy it a lot. Between the modular and like the train, clickety-clack, I could escape shit for a little bit, right? So YouTube, YouTube, right? You're on YouTube right now. So YouTube's like, oh, you like trains? Well, how about this? 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 So I got sucked into this railroad revelry and the history of the railroads and like, trying to identify all the diesel engines that are running around here. And so, trying to figure out like, oh, well, when do they run? There's a whole subculture of rail fanning and model railroading and railroad history buffs. And the other thing is, I know that this whole thing, and I've run into it already, skews conservative, whatever that means anymore. And for an example, right? So I've taken to hanging around down the bottom of the hill, and there's these beautiful turn of the 20th century houses that date back to when there were the springs and the trains ran out, and the passenger trains would run out here. So this crusty old guy comes out and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm hoping a train will come by. And he immediately like lit up. It's like, oh, okay. And so we chatted about trains and he told me some stories about these train men who like killed each other right in front of his house. And, the hobos used to go to that woman's house across the street. And he just went on and on and on. And we were having a really nice time. But I could tell, like, because he was like, well, you're not from around here, are you? I'm like, well, I live up on, the hill and I've been here 20 years. Okay. Yeah, but you're not from around here. Well, yeah, I live up on, I've been here 20 years. Yeah, but you're not from around here. You're not from around here. That's really how it went. And no, I will always be a Yankee. You can tell by the way I talk. Yep, came here from Boston. I ain't from around here. And I'll never be from around here. So that's what I'm talking about. Like, but you know what? He and I could bond about trains. And it was like, well, okay, that Yankee, he's okay. He's into trains. We had a nice conversation. God knows, he voted Trump. He's probably some crazy evangelical Christian. But if we can keep it on the level of trains, maybe we can have a human, like, not want to kill each other. Okay? Anyway, it gets me outside, using my camera. I may even build a model railroad if I ever clean up my garage. I'm not going to sell all my shit. But I had to do something. And so I even went to a train show last week. And I'm going to stop soon. Now, I don't have a train set, but, I couldn't leave empty-handed. This was so cheap. I got this little steam locomotive on a piece of track with the NC in St. Louis. Yeah, the Dixie line. Yeah. But this would be a kind of train that would run out here, carrying passengers to the Springs, Kingston Springs. So yeah, this is $25. It gave me a piece of track to stick it on. It's up on my mantle now. There's also, we're doing our own little steam renovation of an old locomotive, number 576. sat in Centennial Park for years and years and years, since the 50s. And with the help of CSX, it's moved over to the Tennessee Central Railway Museum, where they're restoring it. I'm going to join. I may even take the class and go work on it, at least watch them work on it, because steam engines are fascinating. Horribly inefficient, but fascinating. And so I bought this from them. So this was one of the spikes I was holding in the track that 576 was sitting on in Centennial Park. And then they stamped 576 on here, gold plate. And so, what's interesting is that, I don't know if you can see this, but it's TC railroad tie, Tennessee Central. Defunct railroad. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So, yeah, it was interesting. There's another train show in Lebanon next week. I think I'm going to go, because it's my hobby. All right, half an hour with me. Wow, you're a hero for hanging out. I'm going to try to get back to answering comments and stuff, because, I really do appreciate what little human interaction that I get that isn't horrible. All right, everybody, take care. See you soon. Bye.